Since we are old enough to observe the world around us, movies have been one's way of entertainment. We watch movies in the car during long drives to tropical destinations, in class to learn about different units, and as a hobby in our free time. Movies have a way with expanding viewers' creativity and transporting them into a new realm of reality. It is mind-blowing to see how the movie industry has transformed over the course of the last few centuries, dating back to the 1890s. Movies were first seen not in theaters but outside on storefronts in the town centers. The actors performed live and traveled spreading their entertainment. When movies finally presented as films, they were single silent scenes. This period of time was known as the silent era film. When cameras had technology to finally capture movements, they were still flat compositions without any sound. Most times, they were only a minute long. It was not until 1926 that films were featured with sound. Since then, with the advancement of technology, movies have transformed into being high-quality productions, with now having the opportunity for 3D film and high-quality definition. The movie makes you feel as if your living room is in the movie's scene itself. Thanks to the emergence of the sound system, production of association, as well as the studio systems, the movie's experience have taken viewers to a new reality. Movies were recognized in the 1890s, but they started in storefronts with traveling actors. That was until Edward Maybridge found a way to photograph people and animals in motion. After that, Etienne Marey created a camera that was shaped like a gun that could take 12 pictures per second. Then along came Thomas Edison, the same guy that invented the light bulb, and W.K. Dixon. Together they invented the kinetoscope. The kinetoscope allowed for light to be played past film. Edison in 1893 constructs the first film studio. In 1895, the Lumiere brothers created the first movie camera and projector combination. This allowed for images to be seen by many people at once. In 1898, Edison files his first of numerous patent infringement charges, saying others were using his kinetograph device. Movie studio systems started to form in the year 1909 when Carl Laemmle introduced former anonymous star Florence Lawrence to the public as a publicity stunt. Laemmle would later go on to start Universal Pictures in 1912. In the year 1910, other studios started to release pictures of actors and actresses, which brought about the system of the movie star. Prior to this, actors of this age were all anonymous. After this, people started going to movies just because a certain actor or actress was in the movie. This allowed for studios to create contracts with actors for more than just a movie or two, but for years. These lasted until 1953, when 7-year contracts no longer were used, but single to multi-picture contracts were created. Motion Picture Patent Company tries to monopolize the film distribution by creating the General Film Company. But William Fox, an independent, makes his own movies in response to this. Due to the attempt at monopolizing the film industry, studios moved from New York to Los Angeles, where the weather was better and the Motion Picture Patent Company wasn't. In 1915, William Fox founds Fox Film Corporation, combining film production, distribution, and theaters. Studios began to merge together with theaters so that they could control over the making and distribution of movies. MGM is formed by Metro Pictures combining with Goldwyn Pictures and Louis B. Mayer Company. It is headed now by Marcus Lowe, owner of a theater chain. But in 1938, the federal government accuses the film industry of illegal restraint of trade by running their movies only through the theaters that they own. This leads to lawsuits against the studios. Then 11 years later, in 1949, MGM, 20th Century Fox, and Warner Brothers are court-ordered to separate themselves from their theaters. This was made to happen by the Supreme Court. Movie studios could no longer make the movies and then put them into the theaters that they owned, which is what they had been doing for over 30 years. This allowed for theaters to show any movie that they wanted, not just the ones they were told to show. The change from silent film to movies with sound and dialogue didn't take long to accomplish. In the year 1922, Lee DeForest found a way to attach sound onto film. Warner Brothers Studios made incredible strides after that. In 1926, they made the first movie with sound. This movie didn't have dialogue, it had music though. Then 1 year later, they produced the first movie with dialogue. And 1 year after that, Paramount Pictures became the first studio to say that they would only produce movies with dialogue. In the same year that DeForest was putting sound onto film, another milestone in movie history was taking place. In 1922, former Postmaster General Will Hays creates a censorship in movies. This censorship is known as the Hays Office. In 1927, the Hays Office puts out a code of decency telling studios that they need to avoid nudity and prostitution. Later, the Hays Office came out with more restrictions for movies. In 1930, Production Code, a set of guidelines of what is acceptable in movies, even married couples in films, had to sleep in separate beds. If you remember your parents telling you that you couldn't watch action movies because they would make you want to reenact them, that is due to research that was done in 1933 by the Pain Fund, a study that argued that movies shape children's behaviors. The Hays Office and its production code even stopped the importation of movies, not just the making of them. U.S. Customs didn't allow the film Ecstasy into the country because it contained nudity. In 1952, the Supreme Court ruled that movies are protected under the First Amendment. Movies started to get rated in 1968. The rating system went G, general audience, M, mature audience, R, no one under 16 without an adult guardian, X, and no one under 16. As we all know, the film rating system would change again and add more categories. G and R were the only ones to stay the same. They added PG, parental guidance, PG-13, material may be inappropriate for preteens, and NC-17. Movies are off limits to children, and then X for pornographic materials. Since the birth of the film industry, it has grown into a popular franchise that people indulge in daily. From having live entertainment, drive-in movies, theaters, movie rental stores, and the beloved Netflix. Movies have been accessible no matter where you are. As far as the future holds, it is foreseen to have the prices for movie tickets and movie production to increase. Along with that, because movies are accessible through the internet, drive-in theaters and movie rental stores will diminish in time. The movement for these businesses to start shutting down has already begun, and their existence is already being threatened. Although it is no surprise that the movie industry will continue to flourish and unveil new techniques for filming to make one's experience memorable. After all, movies are a universal way to get strangers and friends and family together to bond over something that everyone has interest in. That is one thing that has been the glue to the movie industry since it began its building and will continue to be its foundation.